has been a busy week at U-Wrench. Several customer cars are being completed and sent back to them. Fred and Reed and Angel worked on this TL for about the last 10 or 12 days and did a complete respray on this. I had minor body damage and a lot of sun fade. So this thing is really looking nice again. So there are several cars that are being worked on here. And at this point, you're probably wondering who the hell I am. I'm Steve. I maintain the YouTube channel. I do all the content recording and editing. And I've been doing it for about 10 months here. And today, what we're going to do is go around and talk to Fred and Brandon, Reed, Ariel, and Angel, and find out a little bit more about them, what their background is, how they all got started doing what they're doing, and how U-Wrench started. If you've been watching the channel, then you know who this guy is, Fred. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started doing paint and body?
Well, I was a high school science teacher for a really long time, and then I was diagnosed with... Oh, hey! Didn't notice you guys there. I got started painting actually because of this man holding the camera. When I was 16, I crashed my little Chevy S10 out in the desert being a hooligan, and he pretty much said, hey man, like if you want to have a car again, you got to fix this. So that's just where it all began. We had to do a bunch of paint and body on it to get it looking right again, and had to get on the frame machine, get the whole thing straightened out, and yeah, I wadded it up pretty good.
And you probably know Brandon. Brandon, what you working on, man?
So I'm doing an evap line on an Equinox because it's got a code for it, and it's one of the ones without a gas cap. Fun.
While we're here, can you tell everyone a little bit of your background, how you got started in mechanical work?
Yeah, I mean, when I was really young, I always liked cars. My dad worked on our cars to keep them going and everything, and so I was always the one handing him tools or staying by the light to keep warm and all that stuff. And then I just kept liking to work on cars, and I ended up going to Wyotech to follow that passion.
Can you kind of give us a little idea of how you and Brandon met?
How I met Brandon. I met Brandon because he ripped me off on some crappy Chinese Honda parts. And I mean, what could I say, man? He's, you know, just seemed like such a great guy. After that, I was like, I definitely want to be friends with this cat. And yeah, it was all downhill from there.
Everything's downhill with you.
No, so where do I even start? Sorry, I got distracted by how terrible this color match is. Been fighting this thing for a while now, and it's not going so hot. Anyway, yeah, so he sold me some crap for the Civic that, I think it was my white car at the time, and it was EK Coupe that we wound up doing a build on later down the road. But yeah, we just wind up like working on some cars together and stuff. In high school, me and him were flipping cars. When I was in high school, he obviously was already graduated because he's old as dirt, but yeah, we were flipping cars when I was in high school and stuff, making way too much money that I had no idea what to do with. I don't even remember half the cars I owned back then, honestly.
I think you had 5 or 6 cars at one time.
Yeah, there was, we had just this whole little parking lot outside our house, and the HOA just completely hated us because there was a million cars there all the time.
Police called on us all the time.
Yeah, cops showing up to the house a lot for random reasons, and painting cars in the garage. That was a terrible idea, but I never actually got arrested for anything, or actually, you know, got fined, so that was cool. yeah, and we just kind of, you know, started building a reputation. I was doing paint work and stuff, and people were stoked on, you know, the products they were getting. Brandon, you know, had been working at O'Reilly for a while, and he was getting little side jobs and stuff from customers coming in through there. And in college, I worked at a little hot rod shop for a while, and the guy didn't operate the place very well at all. And honestly, me and Brandon have been talking about opening a shop for a while, and working there gave me all the confidence I needed, because I was like, yo, if this guy can like make money, I was like, we can excel, because, you know, we're actually willing to do right by people and stuff and actually take our time on projects. So it was all downhill from there.
I just talked to Fred, and he told me about how you and Fred met. He was saying something about you sold him some cheap Chinese parts or something or other for your car, for his car.
Yeah, that's what he was asking for. I was like, I got it right for you, man. Yeah, he needed a radiator, and he, I can't remember who it was, told him to come to me, which I was working at O'Reilly Auto Parts, and we had me and another friend had a account with BWR, which it'll age me a little bit. And so we got him a radiator for his coupe, I believe. And that was essentially how it started, because after that he started asking me questions about what to do, and he wanted to turbo the car and all that stuff, and I was like, nitrous. And then a friendship was made.
Did you and Brandon work together before U-Wrench, or how did you guys, other than meeting stuff, how did you work together at all?
Yeah, so for about 5 years, we had a shop called Grocery Getter Garage. Yeah. Now we have a shrine. That's a whole shrine dedicated to it. So every morning we can all come in and pray to the grocery getter gods. Yeah, we were just in this little hole in the wall, like terrible run-down looking little building across the street from a junkyard with a dirt parking lot, and it was always full of like a million cars. It was terrible, but it was like the best shop ever, because we could literally do pretty much whatever we wanted. We were out in the county, and we would just deploy airbags in the parking lot and just all types of fun stuff, just drift random crappy cars out in the dirt after everyone left for the day. And
Getting about the storage unit.
oh yeah, that's right. We had a storage unit shop before that. It was like a 400 square foot like hobby unit on Grant and Oracle. That was terrible. There was like crackheads inside the storage units.
You almost died.
And oh yeah, I almost died because I was there by myself, and I cut my hand open and then I passed out. We had to poop in a bucket for a while because we didn't lost the keys to the bathroom. Yeah, it was rough. And so yeah, we had that. We had another shop with this terrible fool whose name I won't mention, but we split a shop space with him for a while, and that was the worst decision that we had ever made in our professional careers. And yeah, after that we moved to the hole in the wall, but that place actually got us all the clientele and stuff that gave us the momentum to start this place. And we were doing mechanic work, full builds, swaps, paint and body, collision work, all that out of like a pretty much 1,200 square foot shop, because the office I think took up part of the 1,600, so it was a pretty small shop. It was just like a hallway, and I had the paint booth outside under an awning, which was terrible, but yeah, that was kind of how we started pre-U-Wrench.
Tell me a little bit about how you met Fred and Brandon and how you wound up working here.
So when I was about 9 or 10, I lived in a little neighborhood called Savannah here in Tucson, South Houghton. And I used to ride my bike around the neighborhood all the time. I raced BMX bikes as a kid. And there was this one garage that was always open with a bunch of Hondas always around it and a bunch of like 240s and stuff. And I had no idea what the cars were. I just knew that it was sick and there was other younger people working on cars. Somebody besides my old crotchety dad. And I started stopping by and just watching them work on stuff, and they never told me to leave. And I just sit there, watch, ask questions and stuff like that. And it turned out to be Fred and Brandon. It was Steve's garage, and it was Fred working on his personal cars and friends' cars out of that garage, and Brandon helping him and working on his stuff as well. And it lasted about 3 or 4 years, me just stopping by, hanging out, and then I moved back over to my mom's house on the other side of town, stopped going around. But when I was about 17, I had my first Miata for a little while, started going to Tucson Miata Club meets and just hanging out and stuff, and I had met a few friends through there. And there was this one dude that was always there that looked really, really familiar to me, but I had no idea where from. Until one day I went over and asked him if he still knew Fred, and it was Brandon. And he was like, "How do you know Fred?" And I was like, "You don't remember me?" And he was like, "Oh God." And he realized that I was the little kid that used to come by and bother them a bunch whenever I was younger. And from there we started hanging out a bunch, always going to Miata meets, stuff like that, just talking over Facebook, stuff like that. And eventually, after a few years of me working on cars and doing a lot of stuff with my personal car, the little like crap box over there, he offered for me to come work here because I helped put this place together with them. I helped put the lifts in and move everything from the old shop to here. And I said yes, because I did not want to work for a corporate company anymore and slave away all day doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. I want to build cars, do more personalized stuff. So I worked at Toyota, and I also worked at Discount Tire before this. And that's not all my experience. Most of my experience is working on my personal stuff and learning from my dad when I was younger. But now, most of my experience comes from here. It's been a long journey working on cars, but it's been fun, really fun, and I don't think I'll ever stop.
Angel,
Yes, sir.
can you kind of tell me your background and how you got into paint and body and wound up here at U-Wrench?
Well, when I was younger, about 13, my dad and I purchased a 66 Mustang, and that's kind of where I started learning how to do engine work, paint and body, and whatnot. And by the time I got to high school, there was a class which had one of the greatest teachers, Mr. Escalante, and he taught me how to do a lot of paint and body work. And after high school, I kind of took that with me, and I would just work on my own cars or work on people's cars. Age 19 comes around, I get myself another Mustang that I could work on. It goes through a full 2-year restoration. At the end of the restoration, I needed to paint it, and I wanted to do it myself, but almost no shops rent out their booths. But luckily, there was a place called U-Wrench, and I heard that from a friend, and I came here one day and I rented the booth. Fred helped me out a bit. I was a little stumped on what I was doing. I was doing full hot red with white racing stripes, and I just kind of threw myself at it. And Fred helped me out, and that's how I met Fred and Brandon and Steve. And then from there, I just started renting. By the third time I rented, me and Fred worked something out where
How many times your friend drive this thing?
Thanks, just fuck it up, man. But yeah, I rented about 3 times here, and by the third time, me and Fred came to an agreement where I would start working here, help him out with some body work, sometimes paint some things. So it all works out. My customers get their work done quicker because now I have a team, and everybody's winning.
Hi, I'm Marielle. So I got involved with kind of cars and stuff like that at a young age. My brother was into the car scene. We went to a lot of car meets and stuff like that in Tucson. I had a love for Hondas, and so I got a little hatchback and started racing that at the local track here. And that's kind of where I met Brandon. Both met at the racetrack when he was racing, and kind of just evolved into a friendship and then a relationship after that. So that's how I got involved with U-Wrench. I pretty much handle all the front office stuff. I'm an office manager as well as the social media manager. I also handle merchandise. We're going to be coming out with some new stickers, t-shirts, stuff like that on our website, Facebook and Instagram, so keep an eye out for that.
Can you give us a little background? How did you guys meet Sarah?
Oh, so when we first met Sarah, I actually got a call from Charlie because he was out with Sarah looking at a red MR2. which we actually owned beforehand and traded this guy that they got it from. And so Charlie was asking me questions about it, and when they were talking with the guy, Charlie told him, hey, I know who owned this before, I know what's wrong with it, I know it needs a lot. So they got it for a good deal. And then Charlie and Sarah came by because I had a black SW20, and I told her if she wanted to look at mine so that she could try to get hers going, I was more than happy to let her just look it over and make sure that everything went where it needed to go. And so that was when we met her. It was, I think it was like 2017 or something. She had like 2,000 subscribers when she got the MR2 as well. So yeah, we've known Sarah for a really long time. But yeah, that MR2 is one that we bought for a flip.
So who and how did you come up with U-Wrench?
U-Wrench. That was, so back in the day, we sprayed Brandon CRX at the hobby shop on base, which is essentially kind of like what we do here. And ever since we did that, me and Brandon had always talked like, dude, it's like the coolest thing ever. Like there should be something like this, but for civilians instead of just, you know, active duty and whatever, veterans. So a few years ago, we kind of got our ducks in a row and got everything, you know, situated, and we decided to pull the trigger on this. It was something we talked about for like 9-10 years, and then finally decided to, you know, just go ahead and do it. And I'm stoked that we did, because this place is sweet.
So anyone off the street can come in and rent the facility?
Yeah, either you can do the work yourself, or you can have us do it, or something kind of in between, which is the membership. So you just, you know, come in and essentially you get either my help with paint, or you get Brandon's help with mechanic work. Obviously we're not like your slave, but we'll help you out, you know, a lot more than we would just regular people that are coming by. So yeah, we're like the only one in town that we know of that's kind of like a flex shop where, like, you know, either you do it, we do it, or kind of in between.
So I hope that was informative for you on who everybody is and what they do. And here's Fred to tell you,
thank you from the bottom of my heart for subscribing to the channel. We really appreciate all the new subs and stuff, guys, and I hope you like the content. We're just gonna keep cranking it out and making new videos for you guys, and hopefully y'all keep enjoying them.